Oh, this is a follow-up to the video I posted just a second ago called My Mission, and I'm calling it My Mission Part 1. And this is, in that video I talked about how my mission is to accelerate the transition from people working, for a boss to people working for themselves. And I wanted to add a little more justification kind of behind my thought process, because I don't feel like I explained myself well enough. So the premise of my mission being helping accelerate people from jobs working for bosses to working for themselves is partially from billionaires, as I had said, just to summarize what I said earlier, is partially from the general acceptance among billionaires that robots, automation, artificial intelligence, and all, software and all of these factors are basically going to replace human beings, okay? In lots of jobs, according to some people, 47% of the workforce is going to be replaced in the US within the next 20 years. Now, and you look at a longer time frame and more as artificial intelligence and robots become more prevalent. Now, to go a step further, and to people who say that, who's going to make the robots will eventually be making the robots. It's already happening. You have software creating software, etc. Now, to go further into that, there's a lot of billionaires, there's a lot of very smart people that are working on accelerating the advent of, job destruction, such as artificial intelligence, virtual reality, etc. And a lot of people say that jobs are going away, but I haven't heard any solutions. I haven't heard any people creating solutions to what people do when their jobs are replaced. And as I said, I believe this is going to happen on a grand scale, but how do people deal with that? How do you fix this? How do you solve this? And, obviously there's Uber, Airbnb, Lyft, Instacart, all these different kind of work from home or work from your own car, kind of, on-demand, self-employment kind of work opportunities that are emerging, but all of those are also going away. There's no ladder there. So I don't believe that's the whole freelancer movement is good, but it's not a solution, if that makes sense. If automation and robots and artificial intelligence are going to replace Uber drivers, it's creating jobs for some people, but it's eventually just going to go away. So it's not a long-term solution. The other thought process behind this was that, is that a lot of billionaires talk about guaranteed basic income. As humans, we have this instilled need to have purpose in our lives. Most people, in the United States at least, don't need to work 40 hours a week. They make enough money to pay for their food and housing, their basic needs. But most people work longer hours than necessary because they want all these other things, college, bigger house, cars, better cars, etc. So, and part of our nature is that we have this drive to feel useful, to feel purpose, which isn't going to be, that's a hard thing to solve. And the other thing I've heard billionaires talk about is guaranteed basic income. I've heard this a lot, that, jobs are going to be replaced. So what basically is going to have to happen is we're going to have to subsidize people to live, and possibly put in population control programs to, as a part of guaranteed basic income, so that people can pay for their living expenses because there's going to be no jobs, or maybe we're just paying people to not be violent. Whatever that is, it's going to be pandemonium, and people aren't going to have jobs, and let's say this is 45 years out. Ray Kurzweil says 2045. So for me, that isn't really a great option. I think people should be able to be creating businesses or whatever. So my kind of idea, my solution is having a virtual reality university where people are trained to basically create these sorts of businesses that can sustain them, or robots or whatever. I consider my business almost like a robot, because my internet business, my affiliate marketing business, it works without me being there. It works. Whether I work one day or I don't work for a week or I don't work for a month, I'm always going to be fine. I'm always going to be able to basically do what I want. And that's the thing about internet businesses, is if you take software and you build some good content or software or whatever, there's ways you can connect people with products and make money. And the websites just work. Look at Expedia.com, look at Cars.com, look at Hotels.com. People are going to be using Hotels.com for months and months, but they don't own any hotels. They don't own any hotels, and they don't own the traffic sources. Facebook, Google, and YouTube. They're just connecting people searching online with hotels, and they make a cut of the money just for connecting the two parties. They don't even need to. All they need to do is make sure their servers are being paid off every month. So one of my goals is kind of have a virtual reality university teaching people different businesses that they can learn how to make money for themselves, connecting different things or whatever that is, but different businesses where they can work for themselves. My business is passive. I think that's great, but maybe a virtual reality university that teaches people how to just do jobs where they're working for themselves, like a freelancer, as well as passive income opportunities like what I do. So that's kind of my big idea. Now, going a little bit deeper into this, I believe it has to be done on a freemium model. Google's a freemium model, Facebook's a freemium model, Airbnb is a freemium, or that's not a freemium model, but Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and all these big companies that affect the world are done on a freemium model. So I basically need to work on reducing the cost of my educational program or my educational community. There's two key shifts. One is I need to focus on building community, as opposed to being an educational product. I need to look at myself more as a platform. Sorry, there's all these flies in my eyes. I need to look at myself more as a platform or a community rather than an educational program. I need to be more of a facilitator rather than the educator, if that makes sense. The second thing is I need to work on lowering the cost of I need to work on lowering the cost to the consumer of using that platform down to zero, because right now the way my program works is I have my internet business. I have real costs of doing business. I have to pay a lot of contractors, outsource, they're all outsourced people, but I have a number of expenses, software, ads, etc. So I have bills to pay to run the business, but I have to work on reducing it so I no longer have to even charge people money to use my platform. Now, if I'm valuing my company based on revenues or if that's how I pay myself or something, that's one model, but I basically would have to move up to the investment model, and I'd basically have to start taking on investors to focus on more long-term, more of a long-term vision, And on the other side of that, I'd also have to increase back-end monetization. Now, most people have no idea how Google or Facebook or LinkedIn, you know, they make their money. They make their money on the back, you know, the back end. They charge people for ads, basically, or they have rev share agreements or whatever they are. But basically, they are, whatever you want to call it, affiliates. They're middlemen for companies that want to reach people and people browsing the internet. So I've basically got to look at myself as an educational platform, connecting people who want to educate people on different opportunities to make money online, and people who are looking to learn about stuff. So those are the essential shifts that I believe I need to make. That's my justification, and that's a little more specifics on what I believe the long-term mission needs to shift to. And I believe it's a pretty bulletproof plan. I could go into more specifics, but I think it's a pretty bulletproof plan. You know, the big things are, you know, assuming that I can get investors, and assuming, oh God, my dog is overheating, I think. Vita, you okay? Yeah, I think she's okay. Well, we're gonna try to get out of here. But look how beautiful it is out. But those are my big ideas, and leave a comment. You know, let me if you listen to both missions, let me know, because I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are, and if you can poke holes in my plan, and don't give stupid feedback, or else I'll just hide your comments and ban you from my channel. You know, if you have real, you know, if you have real feedback, you know, that's not just, you know, stupid BS, you know, like that's dumb. I'd love to hear it. You know, I'd love to hear it. So, looking forward to seeing your comments. And if I don't see you in the next video. See you guys.